Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Comix Rant Mini. And I'm your host, Arvin Bautista. And today we're going to talk about Shadow's House, number 1 by Somato. And I haven't actually done a lot of research until just recently about the duo. Apparently, this is a duo. Somato is made up of 2 people, named Nori as the writer and Hishi is the illustrator. And I think Nori does some of the design work too. The funny part is I don't usually do any research on the artists or even much of the books before I do these episodes. And usually I just talk about the art itself, the product itself, the comic itself. And I kind of like it that way. Except for this time, I decided to take a look at who or what Somato was. And online, I guess not a lot of people know, which is kind of cool and like mysterious, kind of like this book. So anyway, Shadow's House, I found in the library. I was just looking around and the library carries a lot of great graphic novels and manga. And I just kind of flipped through it. This cover was interesting enough for me. Here at Comix Rant, I just read everything. I read everything that's a comic book. If I like it, I like it. If I don't, I don't. So there's all sorts of weird genres that you might see on my channel popping up that's not exactly your typical thing. I am a superhero fanboy. Don't get me wrong. It's just my tastes have definitely branched out into all sorts of different genres, especially with reading comics from all over the world. Shadow's House, I think, is a good example of this because it is not the kind of manga that I would read. But it just looked great. And this kind of slight creepy edge to it kind of grabbed me from the onset, just right in the cover. And, this is, it's just really well drawn. Really, really well drawn. Very nice colors on the opening pages. Like most manga chapters open, or I guess, volumes open with a color page. And I kind of like this, I gravitate towards this cross-hatched kind of style. It's just the kind of stuff that I really enjoy. And I like seeing it when it's also in manga, like this kind of classic pen and ink work. And the mix of these cute characters along with this kind of gothic Victorian style. And, by the second page, you got me hooked already. There's like this all silhouette dark character that this cutesy character is serving. And there's an interesting dynamic that goes on throughout the book. The book, I always, when I flip through it always has this what's the word I'm looking for? This, potential to become this crazy horror book, right? It's always riding this line where there's like this cute, happy character, which is this girl, right, as the servant of this just dark, shadowed character that seems to emit soot. And so this character has to keep cleaning. Already an interesting dynamic. And, as you read the stories, they're kind of set up, at least in this first volume, as these slice of life stories that's also world building, because these shadow characters are masters and we only really kind of see what this girl sees through her point of view. So she doesn't really remember a lot of things, or she just exists to serve this character. So we just she's just starting out. So much like us, we're just starting out trying to figure out okay, what are these creepy looking characters? She can't see her face, but this girl is very cheery. So this is not off-putting. I mean, not in the way that you would think, right? Not like in a horror kind of vibe. It's off-putting to her only because she wishes to really serve her master well. And so, at any moment within this volume, as I'm reading this, I'm always thinking oh man, here comes the crazy twist. It's going to be like a crazy monster or whatever. And to the credit of this book, it doesn't do that. At least not for this volume. So it can still do it. But what I love is it just kind of rides that line. Like I mentioned earlier, it just stays right in that tense line where it's not overly happy or cute, right? It's not like happy manga. There are some strange things that happen. As it world builds, it's like, why are these the masters? And is she human? She calls herself a living doll. She sleeps in a coffin. She's kind of like just for the whims of this shadow race that's existing. none of that stuff is explained. It kind of comes out later, which is also very great about this book. Definitely to the credit of this book. A risk for sure for the creators to just kind of not be overly pandering from either horror or like the lighter comedy genre. It does both. It does both. It has great treatments of both. And so like here's what I mean with a nice cross hatching. She goes out, she tucks her master into bed, and she goes out and goes back to her little hole. This is where she lives. And the mood is set. It's really, I like it. I like the texture of the book. This is kind of what drew me in. I usually don't read a lot of cutesy, manga, and my kids have them, Sanrio characters and stuff like that, but usually they're aimed towards a younger audience where, the slice of life would be like, oh, let's go get some food and let's have a picnic. And it's cute. It's good. It's just, it's not the kind of genre or stories I like to read. So this is kind of like in between this area. And as I was reading this too, I was trying to figure out, can my kids read this? Is this book for my 8-year-old? She kind of gets scared of things. Especially when she doesn't know what it is. I guess that's typical, right? But so like manga like this, I wasn't sure, like, would she like this? My eldest, I think, would like it. She kind of likes a little touch of mystery. And so as I'm reading this, I'm trying to figure out, okay, is there like violence that's going to happen? Is there something crazy that's just all of a sudden going to happen? I mean, is that horror? Or is that scary? Well, the funny part is it can be, right? But because we follow this girl and her point of view is so cheery and just so like, I can do it. That kind of manga character is like, I can do it if I believe in myself and help my master. Like that kind of attitude. It doesn't seem like that, but you get like these creepy characters coming in. There's like these servants that all they do, they don't talk. They're wearing veils over their heads and they serve food. That's kind of creepy. So I didn't know. So as I kept reading, I was like, okay, where is this book going? Where is this book going? Enjoying the lovely art. The art is just really great. And the world building is fantastic. It really starts expanding. Towards the middle of this book, she starts getting entrusted to clean more of this mansion. And you start figuring out, she's not the only, obviously this shadow creature wouldn't be the only one living there. There's actually another floor with a person that does the same thing she does. So you would think, okay, so she serves another master. So there must be all these shadow masters around the house. And then, she looks out the window and then there's one that she sees walking outside. So our character has never gone outside up to this point. And then you see like, okay, one of her servants is not happy. Not as happy as her or not as happy as this other character that you met. And now it starts turning a little bit dark. Like, what's going on? Again, all very mysterious, all not really fully revealed. She meets other servants like her, which is great. And then by the end, okay, now I'm building this up almost as if I'm saying, by the end, then they're all monsters and it's the end of the world. It's not. By the end, it just still kind of shows you a little bit of the dynamic of master and shadow. And it's great. It's really, really great. I totally recommend this for people to read. my daughters have now read them, and, I would prep them like, hey, maybe this is too scary. Okay, tell me if it's too scary. But I read through it and I gave it to your oldest sister, and she seems to think it might be okay as well. And then when I handed it to my youngest daughter, I was like, but if you find it scary, just don't read the rest of it, okay? Like, and then, she read it and she said, oh, it's not scary. It's just a little weird. Okay, I'm okay with that. And I liked it so much that I did want to share it with him. It wasn't something like I was just trying to share it with him because it was just books on lying around. It was actually a really well done book, and I'm definitely going to read more of this. And if you like what you see, definitely pick it up, borrow it from the library, take a look. It's good. It's good stuff. It was surprisingly good. And this last, so I think it basically, the first arc ends around here, and I think this last, yeah, so it ends around here. It's resolved. But then there's this one little kind of a short story that's kind of self-contained, and it's great. It's actually told from the point of view of the Shadow Master. And it's definitely set up like in this creepy way, because it's like this character, this shadow creature, actually does not like how dirty things get. And she starts just saying everything is filthy. And there's like this great sequence that kind of gets you right in there. And it's, it is kind of this horror style. And like terrible. And then all of a sudden we get our main character, and it's like this great insight. And she's very happy, right? Like the character is very happy. It's great insight into their relationship, because you don't actually see this. It's not like this character is mean or anything to the main character. It's just she's not very emotional. It's not like she's handing out hugs or anything like that. But from her point of view, right, it's almost like she hates herself because everything is dirty and filthy. But by the end, now you realize, oh, she really does like our main character, our protagonist, because she cleans everything, right? It's like it's a simple relationship. And it's pulled off really well, like how one means to the other in this short story. And I really, or short segment. It's done in like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. About like 10 pages. Yeah, 10 pages. And it's great. That's the kind of stuff I gravitate towards now. Like it's 10 pages, but it adds on to the bigger story. It's a lot of characterization. So I think I really appreciated that about this book. And then, yeah, just recently I was looking at all the back stuff, right? Just trying to figure out who Somato was. It doesn't really tell you, but it tells you all the people that translated, all the people that worked in the American version, all in translations. And then I noticed the translation rights are through Tuttle Mori Agency. And Tuttle, in my previous episodes, I think I've talked about them. I'm not sure if it's the same agency, or maybe Tuttle is like a more common word, but it is the name of the publication group that did the last 2 books that I liked. It was the ghost book that was from a French duo. Well, that's interesting because this is like a Japanese duo. And then like the short story book that was an adaptation of a Japanese writer's stuff. So I wonder if it's the same Tuttle. Anyway, the Yen Press is apparently the ones that did this print, the publishing. And I think it was a good one. It's a good one for them to choose to bring over. I think it's interesting. And I don't read a lot of manga, mainly because I feel like I have read a ton of manga, and I kind of know like some of the tropes and the formulas that they will get into. And, I can't read too much of that stuff. I kind of have to pick and choose my manga. There is a lot out there. And this is definitely a good one to pick up and read and give a shot. If you ever see it in the bookstore or library or what have you, like, don't do it legally. Just support this book because it is definitely worth it. And it was a good read on my end. My daughters of 8 and 11 enjoyed it. So it kind of gives you a little age range of what this book can kind of go from 8 to 48. Yes. In any case, that is our Comix Rant mini for the day. This is Shadow's House by Somato. And I am Arvin Bautista, your host, signing off for the day. See you guys next time.